So my name is Bonnie Tamraz, and I am a member of the Assyrian Democratic Society of the Bay Area. And Tony has put the extra pressure on me of introducing our congressman guest of honor today. So bear with me. I took some notes. So I wanted to acknowledge our host of today's event. We have the Jewish Democratic Club of Silicon Valley. The president of that is Doreen Castleman, and Doreen is here. We have the Bay Area American Democrats, and that is the president of that is Miriam Azvini. And of course, we have the Assyrian Democrats of the Bay Area, and the president of that is our host. Thank you. And I also want to acknowledge the Assyrian Art Institute is represented. The president of that is Nora Blazy. And then we have the Assyrian Global Network, who is represented by Nancy right here. So, welcome. So, now, given the communities represented by these three organizations, I can't help starting this event by saying, well, 3 men, 1 Assyrian, 1 Persian, and a Jew went into a bar. All right. So again, it's with great honor and pleasure I present to you Congresswoman Eshoo.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much, everyone. I was going to go up on the stairs, but you can all hear me, right? I got to be closer here. Let me start out on behalf of all of us by thanking Nahri and Tony for opening up their magnificent home to all of us. Let's thank them. Thank you. And Dr. Bonnie, you need to know that Dr. Bonnie is the tallest Assyrian in history. It's the first time I've ever had to look up. But thank you for your very generous introduction to Doreen, who chairs the Silicon Valley Jewish Democratic American Club. Thank you, Doreen, for your beautiful leadership. Yes, and to Mariam and to Susan for your leadership of the Bay Area Iranian-American Democratic Organization. Thank you very much. I shared this just briefly with some of you that my sister has been trying to get a hold of me without much success. So she called very early this morning, and she said, "Oh, thank God I got you. Where have you been?" I said, "Well, I've been, I'm working from morning till night." She said, "Well, tell me what you're doing today." So when I told her that I was coming here, and that 3 clubs had co-sponsored, the Assyrian Democrats, the Jewish Democrats, and the Iranian-American Democrats, she said, "There's hope for peace in this world." I'm so proud that you would come together. And I'm deeply, deeply grateful that you would do this on my behalf. I truly am. I truly am. So here we are in 2022. Every cycle, we work hard, we go out and meet with people and say, this is the most important election, the most important election. Well, I did not think that I would be going out to say, this is, I believe, the most important election of our lives. the most common thread amongst every single one of us here, those that we come from, those that we stand, whose shoulders we stand on, all loved democracy. All loved democracy. And for a first-generation American, I always say I won the lottery the day I was born. But I love immigrants. I love immigrants. That's who I come from. And they chose this country. They weren't born here. They chose this country. They fled because they were being persecuted. And history keeps repeating itself. So I'm a combination of all of those stories. A combination of all of those stories. And I saw firsthand how much they love this country. I remember when I kept saying, Dad, you need to retire. He was still working in his 80s. He used to say to me, everybody has to have some place to go when they get up in the morning, you know. But I said, maybe you want to travel and, you know, go back to, even go back to Iran, because he was born in, as many of the Assyrians were, in Urmia. He said, what's wrong with this country? You know? You see the depth of the love and the attachment. And that is the case for each one of you and your families. This is not a unique story. So for those of you that don't know me or know my story, I should share with you that, you know, my mother and father were never interested in running for office or being appointed to anything, but they loved this country. They loved this country. And I saw, and my brother and sister saw, how they participated. Daddy would always speak at dinner time about the news of the day. You know, what the president had done, this is what happened, you know. And my brother used to say, I'm not interested in that. And Daddy would say to him, you better be, because they're making rules. They're making rules from the time you're born until how you're buried. Someone is making those decisions. So you should know something about it and care about it. So, you know, I'm the sum total, just as you are, on who shaped us. Our faith shaped us. Our family shaped us. The experiences of our families shaped us, and that's what I've taken into public office. That's what I've taken into office. I served 10 years on the San Mateo County Board of Supervisors. I loved it. I only needed 2 other people to agree with me, you know, on a 5-member board, but I always went for 5. You know, I always wanted to be unanimous, and it really has been the, you know, the honor of my life to serve in the Congress. I'm the only person and woman of Assyrian descent that serves in the Congress. And there was, I believe, only one other, Adam Benjamin from Indiana. When I got to the Congress, I made it a point to find his colleagues, people that had been there when he served, and glowing remarks about Adam Benjamin. He was, I believe, a West Point graduate, and they all respected him. And so when I told them, they said, are you related to him? I said, in a very special way, because we share the same ancestry. So it was wonderful to hear colleagues speak of him. So this is really very, very special. And let's fast forward to now and where we are. I think, and I have said this from the beginning of this Congress, well, the beginning of this Congress was January 6th. Could anyone, no one, I should say, no one, even if they'd had a nightmare, would not have envisioned what took place. For American citizens to attack the citadel of our democracy, it will never leave me. It will now take that day to my grave. I have to say I wasn't scared for myself, but I understood what this meant for the country. And we see the turmoil around the world. We see the turmoil around the world. When we speak of our own democracy, we see people that are so thirsty for their freedoms. When you see what's taking place in Iran, you see what's taking place there. And every person, to a person that's protesting, they're putting their lives on the line. They're putting their very lives on the line. And I think, was it Jack, was it you that said, or someone else, that these are so many young people, you know, and when you're older, you think of your children. We were chatting, you were saying that, you know, right away we think of, I better not do this or that because I have my children, my home, my job. Young people have an unobstructed view of the future. And their bravery and their voices are for the very things that we want to protect in the United States of America. So, you know, it's a circle. It's a circle. And it's so important for the American people and those of us in government to speak out on behalf of them. We have legislation, and I've gone on to it, but I think everybody doesn't know about legislation, you know, but they do know when you stand next to people that, that need the voices of others around the world. It could very well be that these young people, together with other sectors of the people of Iran, together with the women, and everyone that has joined this, they could very well bring down the government. Please, dear God, you know, no, really for, you know, this is, it's not for, well, I'll put it in our terms. It's not, at the end of the day, about a particular party, as important as political parties are, because that's how we organize around our values. But what democracy represents. What democracy represents. I don't think there's a human being that comes into this world in their earliest consciousness, they want to be independent, right? They're unique. And one of the beauties, I think, of the Democratic Party is that we embrace everyone. We're criticized for it, right? We're criticized and sometimes even held suspect. Sometimes even held suspect. And for those of us that are a little darker, they hold that against us because of the biases and prejudices that have been passed down one generation after another. But this is an enlightened group coming from a heritage of thousands of years. And again, those whose shoulders we stand on. In the Jewish community knows persecution wherever they've been. And they do to this very day. And we've seen in these dark times, the anti-Semitism has been on a terrible rise in the United States. And right here in our own communities. Mm-hmm. The old saws about, you know, about Jews, it, you know, what we know is that it's wrong. That it's wrong. I view, you know, I hold the view of my parents, which really they gave me my faith, that we're all God's children. We're all God's children, every single one of us. Yes. And when God looks at us, he doesn't see any of these differences, you know? And I've said to some of my Republican friends, let me share something with you.
Wait, you have
God never made any junk.
Really?
Yeah. God never made any junk. And so, you know, you know, these are the beautiful things that I was taught. And it is really the highest privilege of my life to take these values into the Congress of the United States of America. And it's because of people here that have stood with me. I can have the best ideas and all the energy in the world, if you don't have good people with you and that they have my back, no matter how tough the times are, I wouldn't have been able to be elected, much less re-elected. So I want you to know how deeply grateful I am, how proud I am for the Assyrians. I can't even say it. That's not so bad, right? That's not so bad. That's not so bad. And Tony did a little research by going out into the Assyrian-American community to probe, because Assyrians, like so many other nationalities, they identify themselves from what village they come from. Mm-hmm. And so the village that his family is from, on my mother's side, they are from that village as well. So, and I said to him when I was a little girl, there were two things that stood out to me about Eshoo. That they were as affectionate as Assyrians are, that they were the most loving of all, I thought, the most affectionate, and that they were really good timers. They knew how to party. They knew how to party really well. So bravo to the Eshoo. Everyone else is scratching their head. They don't know what I'm talking about. They don't know exactly what I'm talking about. So. To the clubs, thank you. Thank you for coming together. It really is a beautiful statement about each one of you. Mm-hmm. And you really are setting a magnificent example. First of all, it's an eloquent statement about each one of you. But that you decided to come together is a first. But you know what will happen? It'll become a tradition. It will become a tradition. And you know what? We'll all be better for it. So to each one of you, thank you. You're the wind beneath my sails. Look how sweet she's reaching out. She doesn't know what I'm talking about, right? I'm going to put her to sleep pretty soon. Rock her to sleep. So I'm deeply, deeply grateful to you. And that I always feel like each one of you is a safe place for me. I feel that each one of you is a safe place for me. There's something that is very deep and broad in terms of the connection, and I think that my beautiful mother and father are watching from heaven and smiling. They like this. So, Avitan Rabba, Rabba, Rabba Basima, to each one of you, thank you. Do you have questions that you'd like to ask?
They learned that I'm coming here to meet you. They sent me some questions to ask, which I really want to share. You answered them perfectly. That's beautiful. While you were talking, you actually gave me the answers. However, one other reason that I'm here today is I'm here to see the first ever Assyrian Congresswoman, and I'm truly honored to meet you in person. However, the question that I was asked and which you answered was, there has been a rumor around that you don't like to consider yourself Assyrian, which you, with all the things that you said about Erdeshai, which my mom was from Erdeshai, as Tony was from Erdeshai, so that I got my answer. I hope our viewers got theirs as well. So, but do you want to say anything in this particular or not?
Well, I think you use an interesting word, rumor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Misinformation.
I wouldn't be the person that I am if I hadn't been shaped by those that shaped me. That's who I am. So whether it's here in the Congress or when I've traveled internationally, when I was in Iraq and meeting with their prime minister and really looking after our people because they have had, well, what we did by invading Iraq, it's the Assyrians that have paid one of the highest prices because we had a population of between 1.2, 1.4 million Assyrians. It's now at best about 200,000. So, you know, I don't think everyone, and I don't expect people to tune in and try to figure out what Anna is doing every day. People are stuck in traffic, they're taking care of their families, they're working hard. In so many cases, they're taking care of elderly parents, so many people trying to make ends meet. So they don't know everything that I'm doing in Washington, but I have to, I have a conscience. I have a conscience, and it's with pride that I speak out in the Congress on behalf of both the Assyrian community, whether it's domestically or internationally, or the Armenian-American community, and I traveled there very recently in meeting with the government. But it's important for everyone to understand something, and that is I'm a representative of all of the people of the district, and that I'm an American Congresswoman. So it's so much for rumors.
Yeah. So I heard your answer, and that was beautifully said. Yesterday I got that through mail. I didn't get it from here, Tony. I got that through mail. And it's a beautiful, actually, flyer. I'm a graphic designer, and I seriously enjoyed it. I was reading over here is for you, Congresswoman Anna Eshoo. A leader speaks her mind. A leader never quits, and a leader gets things done. So with all that said, I know you're representing all American in 16 districts here. However, I'm just thinking, as an Assyrian, Armenian, descendant Congresswoman, what do you have in mind? What do you have in mind for Assyrian people to follow through with this statement? Like any plan, any dream, anything that you want to do during your
Well, I think that there are some real basics in life that regardless of how someone is registered to vote, I've always thought the American people are not asking for too much. People would like to be able to buy their own home. They'd like to raise their family. They want to educate their children so that they have a better life than they had. They want to have a good job that has benefits, that helps to take care of their family, good health benefits, the opportunity to save and be rewarded for it. And they want to retire and not be dependent on their children. And that may sound very simple, but that's really, wherever I've been in the world, I've been in some of the smallest villages, that's what people want. So I've never thought the American people are asking for too much. Now, are there complications with each one of those? We know we live in one of the most magnificent areas in the entire nation, and it's very expensive here. So how are our children? My children can't live in the community that they grew up in, and that makes me really sad. Even if I can help them a little bit, it's not enough. You know, does everyone have a job with the benefits that really working people should have? Some of our schools, in terms of public education, are not all that they should be. That's unfair because it's in many ways clipping the wings, like of a little bird. Before they get to fly, their wings are clipped because their school is not as good a school as it should be. And then retirements in our country, some people have good systems, others don't. But we do have Social Security, and we always have to fight to protect it. Now the Republicans, you hear them, you hear what they're saying. You hear what they're saying about Social Security and Medicare are entitlements. People are entitled to them. They are two of the most successful and popular programs that the federal government has put into place. And without them, where would people be? I know Mom and Dad, boy, they loved those cards in their wallet. I kept them. I kept their cards, their Social Security cards and their Medicare card. Daddy always used to say, make sure you don't take those cards out of my wallet. You know, they're sacred. And now they want to take those programs, take away the entitlement, put it in the budget process so that politicians can debate that every year and see if they want to put money in it or not. That is their vision for people in our country. We don't believe in that. We don't believe in that. You know, the word community is a very beautiful word, and it reminds me of communion, but it's a coming together and unifying. And to me, that is one of the penultimate ways to divide people in our country. And you know, it's easy to divide. It is simple to divide. We know all of that is too alive and too well in our country. It's another thing to bring people together. And, you know, this really safety and health net really keeps people whole. They're not rich systems, but you know what it does? It recognizes that each person is a full human being, that we value them, that we value each other, you see? So that's why I love being a Democrat. And so I hope I think, Carolyn, I want to point out Carolyn. Carolyn came into our campaign when I first ran for Congress in 1988.
Yeah.
That's how long she's been supported. Isn't that something? And I'm so proud of her. She's brilliant. She's a great attorney.
I'm proud of you, and actually that's what I was going to say, that I'm a testament since 1988, maybe sooner when I was a student still, that you were always proud of your heritage.
Yes.
And whether it was Assyrian, Armenian, Iranian, you mentioned it in every single statement that you gave throughout the years. However, I'm also proud that you are a representative of people. Not just one group, but of all.
That's great. I don't doubt it. Did you want to ask a question? Yes. Hi.
We're really proud of you. We're delighted with you. It goes beyond saying with everybody that is here for that reason. We support you, we love what you've done. I'm wondering if you have a program to mentor other young, ambitious, possibly politicians from these communities that you would like to mentor.
Yes, well, thank you. And this was not arranged ahead of time, but I'm really happy that you asked the question. When I first ran for Congress, and I brought in high school students to the headquarters, and I think that they were, you know, they didn't really I think maybe they thought I was going to ask them to work in the campaign. The first thing I said was, that's not why I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you because I want to hear where you think we need to go. What's the future that, if you were going to paint a picture with words, what do you want that future to look like? And, you know, you always learn when you listen, especially to young people. So I made a pledge to them then that if the people of the district elected me, that they would have a voice in the representation of the district. So shortly, maybe about 3 weeks after I was sworn in, and we got it, you know, we did all the preparation for it, I launched a student advisory board for the congressional district and reached out to every single high school in the district, and public, private, it didn't matter, and invited students to come in. I don't reject anyone. It's not by application and then I decide who I want and who I'm not. It doesn't work that way. And so now, after all these years, I don't know, 1,800 young people have served on that board. Many of them have gone into some kind of, some form of, on the public side, not necessarily running for office, but there are those that have run for office as well. But they've gone into public administration, some of them into political science, others have followed whatever star they wanted to follow. But I want young people to understand how all of this works, how it works. Interning in my office in DC and here, and they say, well, you know, we're just doing small things. I said, you know, everything that we do is important. Everything is, because we're dealing with people's lives. And the casework that we do so much immigration work, too, out of the office. So I'm very proud of that. To this day, and because the congressional district has parts of 3 counties, I didn't expect students to be driving up to Santa Clara County from Santa Cruz or from other parts of San Mateo County to Santa Clara County. So we split the board up. That first board said to me, you need to tell us what you want us to do. I said, it's exactly the opposite. You need to tell me what you want me to do. So they've made over the years, every group, they've made recommendations to me. Many of them I've put into the form of legislation, and their report, which they put on publicly so that their teachers, their parents, people in the community can attend that presentation at the end of the year. That goes to the Library of Congress so that others can learn from the students here. So I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of that. It's, I think, they tell me that it's been transformational for them. And if that's what they say, then I will accept that. That's terrific. And there's something else too. And there are always those that are, are attracted to run for office. And I think it's a real responsibility of mine to bring along young people, to coach them, to encourage them, and my emphasis has always been women and minorities, because it's harder. It's harder. It really is harder for us. I don't hold anything against the men. I don't want you to get I support plenty of good men. But I think that, I remember, I'll just share this with you, when I was running, and I was at a Kiwanis or Rotary Club meeting, and I gave my speech and then it was time for questions. There was a man in the back of the room, raised his hand right away to call down him, and he said, do you think that you're better because you're a woman? It was a very good question. My sweetheart. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm so here. My brother. And I said, no, I don't think I'm better because I'm a woman, but I have a different experience than you do. Yes. I have a different experience, and I believe all those experiences belong at the public table. Belong at the public table. So it's circle back on something, because it stays with me. For those that have heard these rumors, and I don't, where's the young woman that was asking the question? Is she late? No, here, he's still here. It was Anna Eshoo that had to member to member on both sides of the aisle to even explain what Assyrian means, because they didn't know. All right? Genocide resolution that I brought to the floor of the House. No one else brought that genocide resolution to the floor, and I'm proud to say that I was the one that did it. the Assyrian, the Assyrian genocide is in that. So whomever is into rumors, put that under your hat. Bessa? Okay. Yes. No, I'm happy. Yes.
We can go as long as we can go.
My name is Kurosh.
Yes.
I'm just an Iranian.
Don't say
And I wanted to ask you about a topic that you mentioned, and I think that nowadays is in the heart of all of us who have direct or indirect relationship with Iran, and not even that, just being human and watching people of Iran struggling, and now they are begging for the freedom that they think they deserve. What is Congress doing to help the people, beyond just statements? In practice, what is happening?
Yeah, well, it's an excellent question. First of all, Congress is a legislative body. It's a legislative body, so we're lawmakers. That's what we do. And I think that that there are two parts of that. One, that you speak to what the issue is, whatever it is, but that the real work is in the legislation. And so, without remembering the name of the number, there are about between 20 and 25,000 bills introduced in each 2-year session. So I don't even know the number of my own bills. I know the titles. I know what they are. So I think it's important to note what's in the legislation. It not only condemns the Iranian government for what it is doing, and it spells all of that out, but it also calls for sanctions. It also calls for sanctions in key areas of the Iranian government, and I think that that's very important. I think especially for the Iranian-American community, though, that it's important for them to hear many Americans speak out and identify with what's taking place. That it's really, I had a call from a member of Iranian family. It's a very large community in Washington, D.C., and many of them have befriended me. They call me Anajan, so I'm Anajan. Anajan, what are you doing? Come to our house for dinner. I said, I can't, I'm working, I can't. But they are bereft at what's taking place, and there was very little knowledge of what Congress was doing, very little knowledge. I hope that to give this a larger spotlight, that in the lame duck session, which is after the elections, we go back into session November 15th, I think, between November 15th and the middle of December, that we take it up, because then the press is going to cover it. The press will cover it. Right now, they're not. I don't even see it in the, there's coverage of what's taking place in Iran, but there's not coverage of what we're doing in Congress about it. But there's very good support. You should know that.
Is it possible that you introduce a legislation to block any dealings with Iranian government, block any negotiations, block passing or letting any money that is now in foreign countries to go to Iran, because that money will be used to kill people?
There's an Iranian family that said to me, Mr. Biden, we're so upset, we're outraged because Mr. Biden put $9 billion on a plane and sent it to Iran. I said, where the hell did you get that from? No, really. No, but I mean, they really believe that. And, it's, but you know what? I'm kind of used to dealing with these things, not just with what my friend said, but misinformation, disinformation. I think you're referring to the negotiations that are taking place between the administration and Iran. I doubt that there will be any coming together, given what's taken place right now. And those negotiations really have not, haven't succeeded in any way, shape, or form. Right now, I don't see those negotiations going anywhere. And especially.
10,000 Revolutionary Guards. That was a strong statement. 10,000 Revolutionary Guards. They are going after all of their families who are transferring money to Canada. This is the practical way to show Iranian government you can't do this. But just when it comes to
in the
reports.
language of the legislation for the sanctions, it speaks to the various groups that would be, and there's a description of them because there's more than one. It's not just the Revolutionary Guards. There's, you know who the other many stakeholders are, that they would be sanctioned. So I think we need to pore over the words to see if they're adequate. I think it's very well drawn. I think it's very well drawn. You need to give me your email address so I can tell you, I want you to read it and then you tell me what you think. Sure. Okay? So you can advise me. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Kind of speaking to what you were talking about earlier, if the Democrats can manage to maintain control of Congress, are there any plans to reintroduce the fairness doctrine?
The fairness doctrine has to do with our telecommunication systems. And that was put into place, it should be called the unfairness doctrine. Yeah, that was put into place during the Reagan administration. There aren't the votes for it. There are not the votes for it. If you have the vote, you know what, you can have the best idea that any human being ever had on the face of this earth. The first question that either the speaker or any leader is going to say, how many votes do you have? How many votes? Say, you have 10 votes, you have 100 votes. In the House, you have to have at least 218. See? So there have not been, I announced years ago a legislation on that. Oh my God, the right wing came after me. Whoa, they've just sawed my head off every day. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really clearly get it, but well, I mean, I understand the issue. But they feel very strongly about it. But there aren't the votes. Yeah, there aren't the votes. Yes. You're smiling. You're smiling. You've got a big smile on your face.
To follow up on what he was talking about, almost over 40 years ago, some of us believed that British government imposed Ayatollah Khomeini to Iranian people. And American government went along because British is the top ally of United States. I think time has come for the United States to tell British government, stay away from Iran, we are coming back.
Well, I think, if I might just make an aside, I think the British government is looking for a new prime minister.
May I interrupt?
She only lasted, I think, 44 days, 44 or 45. But I hear this from the Iranian-American community. There's a deep, deep resentment of the British, very deep. And this is, it's decades long. I'm more than aware of it. I have many discussions with my friends in D.C., especially, about the British. I don't think it's as simple as just dialing up the Brits and saying lay off, you know. I think it comes in a different way. The world is just, yes, sure. The Brits are great allies. But you know, great nations make big mistakes. Great nations. I think, if I might add this, I think one of the marks of greatness of America is that we're big enough to acknowledge our mistakes. And we turn the pages back into history and study them. There are documentaries. I mean, Ken Burns just did an extraordinary documentary on Jews and what America did and didn't do when they were desperate to get out of Germany and Europe. And we failed them in many ways. But we're big enough to acknowledge it, you know. And I think that the UK does as well. They're very close allies. You know where we're really close? With our intelligence. With our intelligence. We have the best intelligence in the world, intelligence capacities. Britain is next. And so they're very, very close on that. And I lived that for 10 years. I served on the House Intelligence Committee, so I know it very well.
When you listen to BBC Farsi today, you feel like they are still supporting them.
Really?
I mean,
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Even now, what's happening, they are supporting it. And these are the people in the streets that they don't know what the Shah's name was, what the Shah's families were from. These are all born after the revolution.
Well, we didn't do such a sterling job, the United States, before you go to the UK. You know, I mean, here, Jimmy Carter was there toasting the Shah and wishing him a Happy New Year, and then didn't even allow him to come into the country for cancer treatments. You know, I don't think that was a proud moment for our country.
So,
They always have. Yes.
just a minute. So may I interrupt? So because we gotta go with this. Would you like to, because look at a lot of questions, would you like to extend after 4? So do you answer the question?
Well, I want to answer the questions, Tony. I don't want people to leave and not have their.
No, but we will do it. But we just
okay.
wanna. Tamar also made a recommendation. We have a surprise award for on the issue. Let's do that. Then we will continue with the. Then we will continue with the questions because a lot of people I see that they have questions. As long as she's willing to answer them, and she does, then we'll continue. So this award is from 3 clubs, 3 democratic clubs, the Assyrian club, Iranian club, and the Jewish club. And we want to have all the president of the clubs come here. Mariam is here, Dr. Mariam. Doreen is here.
Where is she? I'm here, right there. Okay. I'm looking for you.
And it is very personal for me as a, now that I'm also active in the Democratic Party in Santa Clara, because I wanted to, from our community, extend our appreciation for 40 years of service to our community and to larger Bay Area and to our whole United States nations. And we want to thank you. And if the presidents of the other clubs have something to say, go ahead.
Sure. I've known Anna for a long time, and I was just reminding her that she endorsed my daughter to go to West Point almost 30 years ago. So, and I didn't know her at that time. So Anna has been always supporting us. I even had a very controversial question for her and at one meeting, and I presented that, and I said, how come you have not supported this resolution? And right away she said, I did, but let me go back and get back to you on what happened to the resolution, why it didn't go through, or not many people signed it, and so on. So I've got many, I've kept them, by the way, because it has your name and emblem on top. And so I was really happy that she followed through. I mean, if you think about it, I'm one constituent of how many in your district, right? So that aspect of her conduct and really supporting us, we've gone to her office many times because we had an issue that was going on for our community, and she has supported us from that perspective. So when we give this award saying, thank you for your support, I'm just trying to give most of you who don't know me or what was going on, that there are facts behind that. It's not like we are trying to be nice and let's give you an award. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, we are so honored to be here today, to be able to have this kind of work together for all of our clubs, and for all of our clubs that share history, as Anna has said, to hate and anti-Semitism, to the types of things that have made it so hard for us to come from other countries and come here, and to be able to be here, be Democrats and be in America. We are so proud to be able to be here to give you this award.
Thank you, Doreen.
A little bit more, but I'm not done, of course. So there's two anecdotes that I wanted to be able to give on the part of our Jewish Democratic Club. One is, and is Tamara still here? So Tamara, as is also in our club, is just as Anna has been our point person for a lot of things we do. And we did our endorsements for the first time this year. We had endorsements, and which was a wonderful thing to do. And one of our first endorsees, of course, was Anna. And not only was that because of Anna's incredible, amazing support, not only of us, but of all Democrats. But we also are co-sponsored by, our affiliate is DFI, Democrats for Israel. And so what happened was that they have a rating system. That rating system says support, strong support, or very strong support. And this was the first time for Anna to be able to be endorsed, so she got strong support, which is incredible on the first time around. Well, not according to her good friend Tamara, who said, why did she not get the strongest support?
I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't notice? So Tamara, so I said, okay, I'll be in touch. So I wrote a justification. So I started looking at Anna's legislation, which I had known before, and what she's done for the Jewish community. It was so strong and so full. And I mean, three incredible congressional, it was just all over the place. So I sent it out, it was very long, and immediately I got a response back, very strong support, the strongest support possible. You are that strong support for us. We are so thankful to have you as our Congresswoman, and we're so thankful and honored to be part of this coalition that we're working on together.
It really is. Thank you, Doreen.
And probably that's one thing unique about this award is both languages and
Isn't
the
that
three.
something?
دشنت کو بلده بود in our language. Farsi is read it جایزه تقدیر. I don't know if you can read the Hebrew one.
Is there?
But that's a unique thing, kind of, hopefully we'll go more on doing this kind of projects with between different communities.
Beautiful?
Okay,
Oh
well,
my
your birthday, you want to give?
Thank you. Isn't that beautiful? Who's going to take a picture? Because this is really, get her to stand in front of you. Get her to I want to say something about Tony. It's so beautiful that we're here. You make it look like all of this is just so easy to do, and we're talking about the club. Do you know Tony took this responsibility on his own shoulders? And he had called my office. He wanted to speak to me. I said, I know who he is. Give me his number. I'll call him. We called him at night. We had a wonderful conversation. And when we had that conversation, he was very intentional. He knew what he wanted to do. He thought it was very important to bring Assyrians together and to form a club. And I said, Tony, do it. And whatever help you need, I'll be right there for you. And it's not an easy thing to do. As in every community, we all know this. We know it in the Jewish community. We know it in the Italian-American community. We know it in the Iranian-American community. You can go each community at a time. They love to argue with each other. They love to argue with each other. So Tony recognizing that, and I said, now Tony, don't get discouraged by anything, because from 100 people, you'll get 1,000 different views, you know, but this is about our democracy. This is about our country. You know, if our communities aren't strong, then our democracy can't be strong. So what I view each one of our beautiful friends here, they are builders of democracy. They understand what the building blocks are. They start right on the ground here at home. It's lovely to talk about Washington, D.C. It's all the big stuff and maybe fancy people and I don't know what not, right here on the ground at home. And so that's why this means so much to me, because I know that they've poured their hearts and souls into it. And I will treasure this all the days of my life. Thank you to each one of you.
Susan
Yes,
is
where is
hiding
Susan?
back there. But she really is the backbone of this whole coalition. No, I'm serious.
She's always laughing.
She actually quit her presidency at the South County Club, which was huge. There were like 150 people members, and she has built it up just to start doing this coalition building because. Like you said, most of us don't talk to each other, or we are having our own, you know,
arguments.
dividing lines. But we have found out how wonderful it is to collaborate.
It is.
And attend each other's meetings. That's how it started. Susan again helped Tony and.
She's been a very good mentor for.
Isn't that
Yes,
great?
but it's good though. We love it. We want to continue.
Well, I thanked her.
If you guys need
Right
any
off the
help,
top
call
of
us.
your head.
Trying to get her
So the question is, the local elected, the local county boards, local Democratic parties from San Francisco all the way down to Monterey, they have started passing these resolutions in support of Iranian women-led uprising in Iran. No more, no less. It's very simple. And what is the issue is, and thank you for being the only congressperson from our area, except for Barbara Lee, to acknowledge what is happening in Iran. Can you be the lead on behalf of us to at least issue a statement on behalf of the California congressional Democratic members that at least you condemn what is happening in Iran? As I said, no more, no less. I mean, Santa Clara County, Cindy Chavez, they passed this beautiful resolution, just for the ones that they don't know, is in support of whatever is going on and the women-led uprising in Iran. But they added a very simple sentence. They offer to be a sanctuary for all the refugees or asylum that if it end up possibly happens, at least Santa Clara County would be a sanctuary.
You know what? You know what's important for each one of you to know, whatever community you belong to, which is so beautiful. This is all a two-way street, all right? I need to hear from you. If you call me and say, Anna, the clubs are doing this and they only had that and we need you to help us with the whatever, I don't look to see what I don't know what everybody is doing and thinking every single day, 24 hours a day. It's impossible. I have 700,000 constituents. So I look to you to tell me, and I sincerely mean that. I always say to people, if you learn something about your issue or whatever, don't assume that I know. Let me know. This is not a hard thing for me to do, and absolutely will rule ourselves. Yeah.
If you let me, I want to recognize Rachel. She's president of the Assyrian Association.
How are you?
And she has a question.
Sure.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank the Assyrian Democratic Party as well as the other
parties today that made this beautiful
It is.
appreciation. It's very long overdue, and as a community of Assyrian also, we should have done something like that. So thank you again, Tony, for raising our head, making us hold our head up. Thank you. Thank you. And I also want to give a testimony to all Congresswoman Eshoo's support to the Assyrian community. There have been a lot of issues, as she's very well aware, that there are controversial thoughts about her should have done this, should have done that, supporting the genocide, remembering Assyrian genocide while she remembers the Armenian genocide. If you recall, we even came to your office and had a conversation about that. There's always that mixed emotion about, among the community, that what should Anna do for us and she hasn't done, but we don't realize that what we should do, just like you mentioned, what we should be coming and asking you, and what solutions we should be asking you to take on, so that these causes are more made well aware of, and there is the right resolutions come to the Congress. And just recently, I believe it was the Assyrian Policy Institute that spearheaded the resolution that's coming on now, and with the help of the Assyrian caucus. My question is, I know, and whenever I speak, I mention to them that Congresswoman Eshoo had done a lot of bringing awareness for the Assyrian causes and helping the Assyrian causes and the Assyrian genocide where she can. But we have to be the voice that asks her what to do. So I'm asking you, there is a coalition now formed as a Democratic Party. There are local Assyrian communities. There are national Assyrian communities. There are individuals passionate about these issues that each are trying to do something. But our efforts have not been measured until now that there is a resolution coming on. What we should do to bring our issues, one of them is the Assyrian genocide issue, bring that effort more effectively forward and to make sure that resolution passes. And the second, there was a $400 million bill, for instance, this year that was coming on to help the Assyrians in Iraq. But we have done no efforts whatsoever as a Assyrian community, to my knowledge, to allocate these funds within our own community and or our own organizations. What should the Assyrian people in America do? How they can organize their efforts to make sure if future opportunities like that come along, the funding goes to the right hands, so it's distributed to the right community versus going through other communities that claiming they are defending our nation.
I know that you're going to be surprised by what I say. You have to be unified. If there are the Assyrian-American community here decides this is a top issue, this is what we want to see, what we want to move, and then you talk to our brothers and sisters in Chicago and they disagree, they go to their member of Congress and say, no, that's not what I want something else. So there is, on the major issues, well, let me just use the Armenian community as an example.
They do have two parties, though.
What?
They do have two parties. Of
course they do. I'm not talking about parties. I'm talking about issues. I don't think our issues are Republican or Democrat. I think they're nonpartisan. Let's just start with that. But the Assyrian-American community in the country has to show that there's unanimity there. And it is the advocates are the ones that go to members of Congress. They're senators. They're a member of Congress and say, I'm part of the Assyrian-American community, or club members will go representing the officers maybe, they go to the office, talk to the member or their staff. They need to be unified. And I think that that's difficult for our people. I think that's difficult. I mean, I remember starting one thing based on what our community said here, and then I got such a backlash from people in Turlock. Oh my God. No, and I love them all. They're all my people. But the thing is that it doesn't work that way in our system. This is not my prescription. I'm telling you, this is the way the system works. There are people that have a family member that has Alzheimer's. These families have come together all over the country, and they have decided what they think is the most important thing for the Congress to do, the research dollars for a cure, because they see what's going on in their own homes, their own families. It's a form of torture. It's such a sad thing. And then they come to Congress and they say, this is what we're asking for. This is what we demand on the part of families across the country that have Alzheimer's in their. So I think very often people think that we just have a magic wand and that we pull it out of our whatever and wave it and then it's done. It doesn't work that way. I know enough where to speak out and what to do. So I'm not a Girl Scout. I'm not a beginner. But if I don't have anybody behind me, no one's going to pay attention to it.
And by behind means other Congress members.
Yes, but there has to be unanimity on the part of the Assyrian-American community in our country. You're dealing with a national legislature. You're not dealing with a board of supervisors where there are 5 people and you need 3 votes. Yeah. So you have to figure out what's your top priority. And then people work on that, you see? Do you know how long it took for the Armenian genocide to be taken up and passed?
100 years.
First
That's
presented
right.
in 1975.
It was, no.
Okay.
It was introduced. But it ended over 100 years of official U.S. silence on the issue. How do you like that? American, USA, silence. And we ended that. None of it is easy. But is it doable? Of course it is. You know, I always think that when someone says it's a challenge, I always say it's an opportunity. You know, it's how you think of it. But don't discount how really critically important the voice of the community and the advocates are, because they're the ones that really have to do the work. It doesn't go the other way. I can go to other members and say, I need you to join me on the Assyrian genocide. They don't even know who the hell we are. They don't even know where we come from. You know, I'm sorry to tell you that, but they don't. Leonard Barmui, you know, Leonard Barmui, you know. So you have to educate them. But we have very large communities all over the country, in the Chicago area, New York, Florida, Michigan, Indiana, Southern California, the Central Valley of California, the Bay Area. That's a lot. You know, so that's my advice. That's my advice. Yes, Doreen. Yes.
So another shout out from all of us. A lot of people think that only the authors of legislation are the people that have created the legislation. You have been behind so many supportive efforts and working them.
You have to work them.
And you have worked on so many types of legislation, not only in the Congress, but working with your assembly friends against hate, against what the Jewish caucus, you've worked with the Jewish caucus. You have been collaboratively creating so much. It is huge.
It make someone's cause everyone's cause, you know, and then you bring other people with you.
I just wanted to let you know, we know you.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank you for your
Okay,
voice.
so how about some chai?
Yeah.